Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the latest episode of South Park, the end of Serialization as we know it. And I overall really enjoyed this season finale that they put on, though I do wish that some story elements would have been brought up. I do think it did a good job of tying off the season for what they were trying to do and what they could have done with all the events that they had to pretty much go on the fly and kind of make up for a resolution. With all of the stuff with Garrison winning and all of that, it probably was planned out differently, but it was done pretty well. I wasn't laughing out loud at everything, but everything was pretty funny with what was going on. So, we open kind of seeing what's going on and seeing where everybody's at. It's kind of broken up into three main components with Kyle and Garrison kind of joined together. We've got Cartman at SpaceX, and then we've got Gerald in Denmark doing his own thing. So with Kyle and everything, we see that Garrison is trying to figure out what to do. And he's at the Pentagon, and everybody's talking to him. It's like, sir, Russia's getting ready to send bombers to Denmark. NATO wants to know what our response is going to be if that happens. What do we have? Sir, you can't just sit there making your stank face. We need to know what's going on. It's like, sir, there's a lot of trolling activity going on. We kind of need to talk to this person. We see what's going on. Then we cut and we see Kyle kind of circling back, kind of like his dad, going to the Boston song, just going away, essentially trying to put out a fire with another fire. Essentially trolling so much that he breaks the internet. Which is a pretty ingenious idea to do. And he's getting everybody together. He's calling different people to see what he could say to piss off more groups of people and just keep it going and getting bigger. And his hope is to overload the servers and shut down Troll Trace, pretty much break the internet to kind of stop everything from going on. So it's funny seeing him talk to Token and Clyde and Craig and Tweak and all that, and just talking to everybody to figure out what pain points he can hit to effectively get everybody to react in such a way that it just starts getting nasty as hell. And seeing Ike kind of helping him with that and him saying, listen, we want you to be clean with this. You just help me do the best that I can. And seeing him using his dad's Skank Hunt 42 to achieve this was kind of cool, but it's Kyle's only doing this as a last resort. And when he gets to a point that he can get Gerald for what he did to both him and Ike, that's going to be pretty nasty. That's going to be probably up to Cartman level shit when we get to it. So he's doing that, and we see them kind of explaining to Garrison what his tactic is with Trevor's axiom, in that he's pretty much trying to build a chain reaction to everybody getting outraged at everything else. And Garrison's like, oh, this is essentially how I won the election. Okay, I understand this. So let's pretty much get this. Let's use the Pentagon to help amp this up, amplify it. It's like, all right, that'll work. So before they're able to contact him, Sheila's able to bust out of the pantry, and she is pissed off, acting crazy as shit. She won't listen to anything. She's only taking evidence at face value and not doing any research, which is a nice kind of parallel to most people looking at stuff on the internet being like, oh, this is essentially what I've got. I mean, you supposedly shown something that caught someone red-handed doing something, but yet you need to dig into their motivations. And of course, she doesn't do that, and she's like, you guys are grounded forever. And seeing Kyle be like, Mom, I'm doing this to protect the family. And then he uses pretty much this Halo system to get him and his brother out through the window, which was done pretty funny. And she's going, rah! And it's like, holy crap. So they get to pretty much a copy center to keep effectively doing troll stuff, and talks to Stan to try and find where Butters is, because of course Butters up to that point had been on his woman-hating kick. And he's like, I need more hate. We need to keep this going. And then he's talking to Garrison, and Garrison's like, this will work. You're doing God's work. Godspeed, Kyle. And he's like, thank you, Mr. Garrison. It was just a funny interaction. He's like, okay, yeah, we'll help you here at the Pentagon. We'll hook it up and do it. And of course, that by itself isn't enough. We also then see Gerald in Denmark. He's, of course, still listening to Rickroll, and then Dildo is able to get onto the monitor system because him and the rest of the people of Denmark that are working at Troll Trace let him into the control room, and they trying to figure out a way to help his son, which Gerald is proud of that his boys are doing this. And it's like, oh God. And then seeing him having to trip the breakers because they've got a system in place to make sure that the servers do not overheat. So this becomes Gerald's mission to keep going and making sure that the way the breakers are taken out so that way their objective works and they're able to break Troll Trace and break the internet. And that was pretty good until it kind of was a little bit slow going, but in the spacing of the episode, it worked out pretty well because then we get all the action of like Kyle and Cartman and Butters at SpaceX. And of course, Cartman is now freaking out because he's come to Butters' point of view and calling Heidi conniving and all that, and that women don't need men. Pretty much coming to Butters' realization that if they do get to Mars, men will only be put underground and milked for their semen and their jokes, because he still, even though he says women are funny, he still does not believe that women are funny. And it's just seeing that the true Cartman's there all the time, he's just always playing. And he's trying to get his angle, even though I do believe he has feelings for Heidi. That's the main reason why he didn't really want to get to Mars. Well, he was caught in pretty much a lose-lose situation. You go to Mars and you get stuck underground and milk for your semen and your jokes, or you stay and Heidi finds out about his internet stuff that he doesn't believe women are funny and loses his girlfriend. So him and Butters are trying to figure out a way to stop what's going on after they have created the energy source. And of course, that's when they start getting in contact with Kyle, because Kyle calls Butters like, "Where the fuck are you?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm at SpaceX. We're trying to get to Mars. We got the power source and everything." He's like, "You got a shit ton of power? We need that. Hook us up." So Cartman essentially keeps Heidi at bay while they use a SpaceX tech and Butters to hook up the power source to help blow out the internet, essentially. So while that's getting set up and put into its logically crazy position, we get Gerald at the last breaker, and of course the head troll starts talking to him about his philosophy because he came back from a helicopter seeing that Gerald was doing this. He's like, "No, this is what I'm accomplishing. I'm trying to get millions of people to kill themselves." It's like, holy shit. It's like, oh, maybe it's just a post-funny era. And Gerald's like, "No, you're promoting nihilism. You just want destruction for the sake of destruction." Even though he's talking about seeing that people are freaking out over nothing and all that. And it's like, no, people aren't. You're just feeding an overreaction chain where people will never be able to realize that they're freaking out over something that was just shitly created by someone. You're promoting destruction for no other point than destruction. And then, of course, he's like, "You're doing the same thing as me. It's just like, you don't understand it." And he's like, "No, there's a difference." And he's like, kicks him in the nuts, throws him over the balcony to pretty much kill him. He says, "What I do is funny." And it's like, well, at least he has drawn a clear line between what he's willing to do and what he's willing not to do. It's like, you gotta watch out for that escalation factor, because that's some scary shit. Of course, there's years of internet shit to pretty much put anyone dead to rights to. So he trips the last breaker, and that pretty much sets the end game in motion. And before that goes down pretty much, we see that Sheila was asking around trying to find her boys. Gets to a house with one of the boys' friend's mother, and looks up Ike's history and finds that it isn't him. He's like, "Oh, that's good." And then she's like, "Well, what about you look up your husband?" And right as she's about to look up her husband, that's when the internet goes black. And it's like, damn it, we need something to happen to Gerald, because after that, Kyle does a voiceover and is explaining how everything kind of went back to normal, hoping that like the boys and girls will be able to get back into their system and just be all right again. Heidi and Cartman were semi back to normal after SpaceX exploded because of the energy, telling Elon Musk to go back to his little cars and everything, where Heidi's like, sorry about the dream and everything. Cartman's like, well, sometimes a dream to someone's a nightmare to another. And don't worry, it's just a joke. It's like, we'll have to see if that actually sticks together. Because I kind of like them evolving Cartman a little bit, but I want him to still be that evil little bastard that'll fuck shit up when it needs to be fucked up. Because whenever, there's always going to be a point in South Park where there's going to be someone doing something evil. And you're going to want Cartman in your corner to do something horrendous to stop that person. And it's always great to see the machinations that he gets to in that. So we'll have to see how the Heidi relationship eventually goes, if it'll implode. And we also got to see that Garrison went back into his office in the White House and he was surrounded by member berries. And I was kind of like, okay, there was nothing really done with the member berries. Hopefully it's something that they carry on and we get more explanation, but I was like, I kind of wanted a little bit more of that in the season finale. Though, granted, I like that they've wrapped up the overall troll trace and all that pretty well. And we saw Stan's family and not, of course, exhibiting any kind of factors of being under the member berries. And kind of watching the TV because they saw that the internet was back up. It was like, hey, it's a chance to do over. And what's the first thing that this old guy who sends this email is? He trolls his friend by sending him a dick pic. And it's like, yeah, it's gonna be the same. We're just gonna get back to a point where we're probably gonna have to essentially reboot the computer, reboot the internet, and get back to it. And also another thing, we don't know where Stan and Wendy sit for their relationship, which was kind of weird because they showed something with them trying to get an apology, but it was never kind of really focused on later. I really hope that that is also addressed along with the member berries, because those are pretty big things, and I would like to see those plot points used to some effect, because they lead to pretty interesting character moments, because we don't know what's going on with Stan, what's going on with Wendy, and we don't know what's going on with the people who are affected by the member berries. One minute they're zombie-like, the next minute they're kind of functioning people, like there's nothing wrong with them. It's kind of weird, and I don't know where they're going to be taking it, because there were so many different possibilities, but that's kind of what's exciting, that they hopefully use that next season, or for some other effect, maybe in like the South Park game or whatnot, as like DLC or something, because I'm looking forward to that one as well, and I hate that that was delayed. But hopefully they use those two plot points in the next season, and it's kind of sad that they've done the 10 episode. I mean, it's cool to make a good arc, but it's like, we gotta wait so long to see what happens next. But they did a very good job with this, and other than those the points of not doing with the plot points of like the member berries and Wendy, I think they did the best job they could with this episode, and I'm really pleased to see them end setting up everything that needs to be done with like Kyle and Ike being, they gave their dad the stink eye. You know something's going on with that, and I can't wait to see that vengeance happen. So those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.